So lastly, for the IK leg, we'll set up a curve that goes from the knee to the knee control, and it just becomes a really nice way of showing where the knee's pointing. It's a nice thing to add to a rig, and as with the rigging, it's all about making the job easy for the animator and just making things nice and simple and straightforward. So what we need first is a curve, a line, okay, and to do that, create curve tools. So let's go to CV curve tool, and we just want a linear, and linear will, when we create a curve, it just gives us a control vert at the start and end. So for the initial placing, I'll just X snap it to the grid. Doesn't really matter because you're going to realign it later. Okay, and you can see if I right click and go control vert, I've just got one at the beginning and one at the end. Okay, and that's why I created a linear. Go back to object mode, look in the outliner, let's call this rig underscore knee underscore left, and I'm going to call it CRV for a curve. Okay, now what would be nice is if you could select the control vert and constrain it to the knee control, and select the start control vert and constrain it to the knee joint, and that would save the next steps, but you can't do that. So what we've got to do is create little handles for the control verts, and then we constrain those handles to the right position. Okay, so what we're going to do is create clusters, and that becomes like a handle for the control vert. So let's select the front, and you'll find clusters under the deform menu at the top, and create cluster. Okay, and as you can see, that creates a little C, which is the handle, and I can now move that control vert by that cluster. Okay, let's do the same for the back one. Deform, create cluster. Okay, right, let's name them. Rig underscore knee underscore left underscore front underscore CLUS for cluster. And I'll just copy that and name the other one back. Okay. So it just again, it's very easy not to name all these small details, and when you look at rigs, you've got cluster 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and in that sense, if you want to start debugging your rig or add any extra details, it becomes a little bit of a nightmare to know where things are. So name as you go, be vigilant with it, and you'll end up with a really robust rig. Okay, so I am now going to point constrain this cluster to the knee. So constraints, driver first and front cluster, selected second, constrain point. I'm not going to maintain offset because I want it to snap to the knee control, and add. So there you go, it's snapped to it. And the next one is the actual knee itself, and this is the knee is the driver, and the cluster is the kind of driven in the constraints. Constrain point, it'll keep the same details that I added. So you can now see that it's now constrained to the knee, and there you get that quite nice line between them. Okay, but visually I don't want to have these around. Anything that you leave visible for the animator to select and add a key, they often will. So make your rig robust and start organizing things. Okay. So what I tend to do is I select the curve and the two clusters, and create a group for them. And I will call this rig underscore knee underscore left underscore setup underscore group. Okay, so this shows me that it's sort of details that I've just used to set up the knee. Okay. Groups are great for organizing things, and then I can literally select the clusters and Control H so that it hides them away, and I don't I'm not in danger of the animator adding a key on them. If they want to go fishing for things, they'll always break rigs, so they shouldn't really be doing that. Okay. And lastly, you can see that I can actually select the curve itself, and I don't want the animator to be able to do it. So select the curve, and if you go into your attribute editor, under the curve, you'll see under display, scroll down, you've got drawing overrides. Okay, so that's under display, and turn on enable overrides, and display type is normal, so you can turn it either to template, so it's very similar to the layers, template or reference. Okay, template turns it grey, reference turns it black. Okay, but now that I've sort of really gone right into the object and turned its display type to reference, it means that the animator can't actually select it. Okay, so, and it's still functioning quite nicely. There we go. Okay, so that's the nice IK leg setup. Okay. And again, zero everything out, and it returns back to normal.